Alright, so let's begin. So this is the fifth study session review, whatever you wanna call it. So this is it. So today I didn't really study that much, but it was certainly better than yesterday. Studied around 1 hour, 1.5 hour or something like that, not much. But let's see what we studied today. So yesterday we finished till a musculocutaneous nerve yesterday. So today we started from brachial artery and we completed all this up till this much, up till profunda brachial artery. So from brachial artery to profunda brachial artery we completed studying this much today. It's okay. I'm satisfied with this much, I guess. I don't know, let's just jump right into it. So we'll go topic wise. So the first thing I studied was brachial artery. So brachial artery, one of the most important arteries, the most important artery of your arm. Supplies all the muscles of your arms, biceps, triceps, everything. So this is like the brachial artery is a continuation of the axillary artery, which arises in your armpit. And axillary artery is a continuation of the subclavian artery. So subclavian artery, then axillary artery, then after it leaves the armpit or the axilla, it is known as the brachial artery. So the brachial artery, originates at the lower end of the uh, teres major muscle. So it originates we mark its origin from here at the lower end of the teres major muscle. So from this point onward, it is known as brachial nerve, and above this point, it is still axillary nerve. So brachial nerve, it has, as it is one of the most important arteries, it has many branches. So it gives branches. This first branch is called profunda brachial artery, and it this artery immediately goes back like to the posterior side of the humerus along the radial groove, along with the radial nerve. And at this point, this profunda brachial artery again gives two branches, anterior and posterior descending branches at the posterior side. And these branches, at the elbow joint, they form anastomosis with the other arteries of the radius and ulna. So this one and another, like this is the main brachial artery. So the first branch, it has already given, as we already covered, profunda brachial artery. The second branch is this one. It is not mentioned here, but the second branch is called superior subcutaneous ulnar artery or something like that. So this one is artery to ulna, and this one is basically kind of the artery to the radius. So this one is superficial ulnar artery or something like that. So it gives a couple of arteries, and it goes towards the, after giving arteries, at after like giving like the branches, and after going through the shaft of the humerus, after it completes going through the elbow joint, it bifurcates into two arteries. One is the radial artery, as it's shown here, and another one is the ulnar artery. So before the elbow joint, it is still brachial artery, and after the and at the elbow joint, the brachial artery divides into these two arteries. So lots of divisions, lots of connections. As you can see, these are connecting, anastomosis is happening. So like, as this is the magnified version, so lots of anastomosis happening between, not like the arteries of the radius and ulna, and these branches of the upper branches of the uh, brachial artery. So anastomosis, there are lots of anastomosis at the elbow joint. So this is like a brief overview. There are more details discussed in the book, but I'll not discuss those details here. So after that, we studied about the cuboidal fossa. So cuboidal fossa is basically a depression at the front, at the front of your elbow. So this is kind of like a triangular depression, like it has a shape of a triangle. So this depression, like the cubital fossa, is marked by these the borders of the cubital fossa is marked by these muscles. So this one, this border, I believe this is the lateral border. The lateral border is marked by the pronator teres muscle, and the medial border is marked by the brachioradialis muscle, and then the base is like the level of two epicondyles of the humerus, and the apex is like this, pointed downwards. So this is the cuboidal fossa. It's basically a space in front of your elbow joint where lots of important things are situated. So what are the things that are situated in the cuboidal fossa? So what are the contents of the cuboidal fossa? So this is important because there are important things situated here. So what are the important things? So this is a really important piece of information that is frequently asked in examination. So this part is important. So basically the most important things situated in the cuboidal fossa, like important for examinations, are these four things, and there's a mnemonic to remember them: MBBR. So this is, you have to remember this stuff in sequence. So from medial side to lateral side, it goes from MBBR. So M here and R here. From this is the medial side and this is the lateral side. Okay, so M, like from the medial side of your arm. So M stands for median nerve. So this is the median nerve, and then toward after median nerve, going from medial to lateral side, this is your the brachial artery. And here, as I mentioned earlier, here it divides into radial artery and ulnar artery. You can clearly see here at this point it divides into the uh, you know the radial artery, and this one is the ulnar artery. So there's the division happens. So M for median nerve, B for brachial artery, and then this one, this green thing here which I have encircled, this is called the biceps brachii ligament. So this is the ligament of bicep brachii. So this is the biceps brachii muscle, and at the point where like the biceps brachii like ends or inserts itself into the I believe radius, this ligament is formed, and this is the ligament of biceps brachii. So B for biceps brachii, and at last the radial nerve is here. This is the radial nerve. So the radial nerve. So R. So going from medial to lateral, medial to lateral, yeah, MBBR you need to remember. So all these things are situated in this area, and this is important. Obviously while studying surgery, while doing surgery, and if like the elbow joint is fractured and you have to do surgery, then you have to be mindful of these structures there. Like hopefully you will not damage any nerve or cut any vessels that would create complications. So this is important for elbow surgery as well. So after this we studied about the posterior compartment. So yesterday we completed studying about the anterior compartment, if you remember it or not. So as a quick recap, the humerus has, this is the humerus, this is your arm, this is your skin, and these are, it has like these two fossas, the median and lateral, which divide your arm into anterior and posterior part. So we completed the anterior part. Now we will complete the posterior, we will talk about the posterior part. So what are the things that are, what are the muscles of the posterior region? There is only one muscle in the posterior region, and as you might know, that muscle is called your triceps. So the popular muscles, biceps at the front, and at the posterior or the back of your arm, it is called the triceps muscle. So the tricep muscle has three origins or three heads. So one is the long head of the tricep, muscle, which comes from the your shoulder blade somewhere in your shoulder blade. Another one is the lateral head of tricep muscle, which originates somewhere in the humerus itself, or your arm bone itself. And there is another one that is called the medial head of tricep muscle. The head is the most important muscle, like it is the most important muscle, because it is mostly involved in the function. Like the other two, long and the lateral head, are like not really involved, but medial head of the triceps is really involved in the functions of the tricep muscle. So this is the most important head. Like this lies somewhere here, like it covers a lot huge area of the humerus. I don't know why like this diagram. I took this diagram from a older book. I don't have the newer PDF version, so in the older book it is not mentioned, but it lies somewhere here in this area at the lower part of the biceps on the posterior surface. Covers a huge area, this medial head. So these are the three heads of the biceps. Sorry, the tricep muscles. And the tricep muscles are used for extension, whereas bicep muscles are used to flex your arm. Tricep muscles are used to extend your arm. So that's pretty much it about. That's pretty much it. Next, at last, we talked about the radial nerve. So radial nerve, one of the important nerves of your arm, of your whole upper limb. And distribution of radial nerve, you don't really need to learn, like this is a really complicated diagram. Like I don't think you need to learn about everything, you have to memorize everything from this diagram, but this is really complicated. But basically it's showing that the radial nerve has lots of branches, it gives lots of branches. It starts at the the radial nerve is a part of the posterior cord of brachial uh, the brachial plexus. Yeah, posterior cord of the brachial plexus. And so since brachial plexus starts at the axilla, or ends at the axilla to be exact, it starts at your armpit and goes all the way to your hand. So this is a continuous nerve, a radial nerve, and it gives lots of branches, as you can see here. And this one is important. So talking about the clinical aspect of radial nerve, uh, like the injuries to this radial nerve are really common, because this radial nerve is injured when if like your elbow is fractured, the radial nerve is situated, it goes like in front of the elbow. So if the elbow is fractured, there is potential damage to the radial nerve as well. So what happens when the radial nerve is damaged? Radial nerve supplies lots of muscles of your hand as well, and your forearm as well. So if the radial nerve is damaged, then these muscles stop functioning. So your hand will show us clinical symptom, which we identify as wrist drop. So your hand will be like this only. So you cannot I don't know how to explain it, but you cannot move your hand to any other position than this one. So your hand will permanently be like this. You cannot move it upwards, your wrist upwards. So this is really a crippling paralysis, as they say. So this is very important. Like if the radial nerve is damaged, then yeah, you will have something called wrist drop, where you cannot move your wrist. And you can imagine you cannot grab things as well. So this is very bad. So what would happen? Injury to radial nerve. So what are the common ways to injury? So as I've said, the fractures on the humerus and the elbow joint. So the fractures are one of the most common reasons why you get this paralysis, wrist drop paralysis of radial nerve. And also Saturday night paralysis or crutch paralysis is like, if suppose you break your leg and they give you the crutches, right, to support yourself. The thing that when you break your leg, they will give you these crutches to support you. So since your crutches rest on your arm, they put continuous pressure on your arm. So that continuous pressure can also Dam is the radial nerve, this whole radial nerve, and result in this paralysis, wrist drop paralysis. So it is important, for people who are using crutches to be mindful of that and take rest and give rest to their arm as well. Yes, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So we covered a lot of things, I guess, but I've only talked about these things very, very superficially because, you know, for obvious reasons. But these are this is like a super brief uh, discussion of whatever we studied today. So that's pretty much it.